release the water, then you'll find that there will be a lot of poisonous gas coming out from the earth, and the earth also become quicksand because too much water rushing from beneath. If this is not possible, then how about coming from outside the earth? If there's some comet, some star, but if that is the case, it should be a very big one, like Brazil, which is 1,000 miles in diameter. But when it falls into the earth, just while entering into the atmosphere, you will find a lot of friction created. And that friction can be equivalent to 12 trillion tons of TNT. And the temperature of the earth would be around, of course it is a rough estimation, 12,000 Fahrenheit, which is hotter than the surface of the sun, which is impossible.
End of story? Not quite. According to the Bible, Noah's Ark landed in the mountains of Ararat, today in eastern Turkey. The earth was revealed at last, and the animals disembarked after months below decks to repopulate the world. So are there any remains of the Ark? The problem is that the evidence, wood, rots in a matter of centuries. Countless expeditions have been drawn to Mount Ararat seeking to discover the Ark's resting place. There are no obvious remains of the Ark on the slopes of Mount Ararat. This hasn't stopped a thriving tourist industry. Pilgrims, Ark hunters, and locals convinced that they will find the remains of the Ark somewhere on the mountain. One French expedition in the 50s did find an ancient-looking piece of wood 12,000 feet up in a glacier. As a geologist, Ian Plimer wanted to find out more. He knew that for the timber to be part of Noah's Ark, it would need to be dated to around 3000 BC.
When this piece of wood was found, it was thought to be the clue. This is what we need to show we have Noah's Ark. And so they took the wood to date it, and you can date wood by measuring tree rings or by carbon dating.
It wasn't old enough. The wood was from the 8th century, 4,000 years after Noah's time. But what was it doing on the slopes of Ararat?
The wood would have been transported there to build a structure, something like a church. There is a booming art business there now. There was in the past. It certainly didn't come from Noah.
But just as Ararat was looking like a false trail for Ark hunters, this ancient mountain came up with a new twist. In 1949, U.S. Air Force planes photographed the summit of Mount Ararat. Rumors began to spread that they'd spotted a boat structure in the ice. For decades, the CIA withheld the pictures. But then, through the Freedom of Information Act, the CIA finally released the photos in 1995. At first, there's nothing in the CIA picture to suggest a boat. But look closely. You can see a huge dark shape sticking out of the ice cap. It's about 450 feet long, the right length for the Ark. The anomaly has tantalized Ark hunters since the pictures were released, but geologists remain unconvinced.
It's such a poor quality, grainy image that it's very hard to tell whether it's an ark or chicken entrails. You can see dark shapes anywhere from the air, be they in ice or on the ground. Some of them are arc-shaped, others are not. It's not at all convincing from one single poor quality photograph.
But hopes were raised again in the year 2000 with new pin-sharp satellite images of the strange shape. This one shows a snow ledge believed by arc hunters to conceal a boat-shaped outline. But for Ian Plimer, this is just another of nature's random shapes.
Well, this is a fabulous photograph, far better resolution than the CIA photograph. However, we see nothing spectacular here. All we see is evidence of retreating and advancing ice.
In fact, all the geological evidence indicates that an arc could not have remained frozen in a glacier for long.
The ice is constantly pushing material down the slopes of Mount Ararat and ultimately taken any arc that might have been there to the bottom. It would have spat it out as all glaciers do. As they move downslope, anything they pick up, they spit out. Be it rocks, be it arcs.
In addition to fragments of wood and photos, there are dozens of alleged sightings of the ark. Biblical scholar Lloyd Bailey has made an exhaustive analysis of all the claims and found them to be false.
An amazing amount of evidence has been produced by ark searchers in support of the ark having landed there. But photographs are alleged to exist, but you can't find them. Newspaper articles of sightings are alleged to exist, but they are lost. Ark searchers want desperately to be able to support the Bible in an age of doubt and what an irrational age. And that desire is so strong that they can rationalize away the overwhelming evidence that there is no boat there and no evidence whatsoever that there ever has been.
The traditional Noah story may not pass a rational historical test, but maybe it was never meant to. Biblical scholars, using clues in the language used by the Bible, are agreed that the story of Noah was physically written down in the 6th century BC. The scribes who wrote it were Jewish priests who were in exile in Babylon, today modern Iraq. Maybe they sat down one day to make up a cautionary tale about what happens when people disobey God. But it's said that all stories have some seeds of truth. Maybe the Noah story is an exaggeration, an embellishment of something that really happened.
So, according to some of the researchers, they say that maybe there are partly true content in the Bible, but the other part are concocted to make up or exaggerate the story.
In the 1930s, archaeologists returned to Iraq to find out. In 1931, a team of archaeologists led by Leonard Woolley and his wife Catherine were excavating the ruins of the ancient Mesopotamian city of Ur. The Woolleys were a colorful husband and wife team, friends of Lawrence of Arabia and of Agatha Christie, the novelist. They left a detailed record of their finds, revealing that they dug 5,000 to 6,000 years into the past, the right time frame for the Noah story. One day, his workmen struck an unusual layer of soil, one that could only have been deposited by water. When the soil was analyzed, it showed that the silt had been deposited by river water. Now, Mesopotamia suffered regular seasonal floods, but this was a massive layer, something out of the ordinary. In fact, later archaeological excavations of ancient city streets show that 5,000 years ago, at least 3 Mesopotamian towns were hit by large river floods. So Leonard Woolley and his wife had hit the jackpot. There had been a massive flood in ancient Mesopotamia after all. It was conclusive proof. A real story lay behind the biblical and Babylonian epics.
Therefore, you find in Iraq, from the digging of into the soil, you find a very high amount of sediments, which must be the remain from a flood, which covers a big area in the local area. And according to the history, 3 cities were totally covered by a flood. And
in committing the story to writing, the Sumerian scribes may have embellished it with myths and supernatural events. But there are plenty of practical details too, and they are priceless in reconstructing a story that's historically plausible.
Therefore, those biblical writers have made up the story or expanded it. They have a local flood. Maybe according to the history or what they have found out, about 5,000 to 6,000 years before BC. But the biblical narrators, they have expanded it to a very impressive story. And therefore, it just mentioned that there is a couple of researchers and found that in Mesopotamia Valley, you find in some location discovered a large range of water deposited with mud. I'll show you the picture, which is estimated about 5,000 years ago at least, with 3 towns buried. And Ur is here. It's a city near the Gulf of the Persian Gulf. And this is Baghdad, means that it is in Iraq today. Babylon is here. So it is near Babylon in that area. And this is a valley. What they found out is that actually, when they dig deep into the earth, they find that there is a big layer of mud. And that layer of mud is 1.5 meter, or 2.5 meter deep. As you know that it is dried, 2.5. But when it is wet, it should be even higher. And why there is a layer of mud so high? The only explanation is that below that mud you find also another civilization. And it means that there is a flood coming, cover the whole area. And of course the earlier civilization perished. And those kind of flood, after settle, all those kind of dirt and mud will settle at the bottom. And then when the water subsides, then it dries, and then another layer of earth comes in because of the erosion of mountains and so on and so forth. And therefore, nowadays, you have people living on top of this layer, which means that in history, there was a time when the flood covered the whole area and destroyed the civilization belief. That is what is founded. And you can also find it by a book called Perished Nations by Harun Yahya, 2004. And this mud also proved that, means that on earth there was once upon a time, there was an incident in which the flood did destroy a big area and a lot of people in that area and totally cover them, but not the whole world. And you do not find similar kind of settlements in the other part of the world except Mesopotamia valleys. So if you look back what we have compared, you will find that you'll agree that of course sorry. You'll find that the universal flood or the global flood was unrealistic, and also to bring all the animals on board of an ark is also unrealistic. Building an ark of 450 feet long at that age was also unrealistic. And those are only exaggerations. But it seems that if you compare the table, you'll find that all these kind of mistake committed by the author of the Bible is absent from the Qur'an, which is strange. Is it a coincidence or not? That is up to your conclusion, right? But you'll find that it is quite amazing that why those kind of irrational data were absent from the Qur'an. And if 1,400 years ago, if Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers, maybe they have a team of scholars, researchers, and so on, and then compile the Quran, copying from the previous scriptures, and so on and so forth. If you assume that. But at that time, those people would not have the knowledge to distinguish which is rational, which is irrational. We take this and we discard this, and so on and so forth. And therefore, you cannot make a conclusion or a kind of speculation that the Quran was an improved version or revised version of the biblical version. We cannot make such a conclusion. Finally, I want to draw your attention to one ayah, one verses from the Quran, which is maybe some of the people might overlook. They say that we bore Noah upon a thing made of planks and nails, which floated under our care. It, of course, it mentioned about, it referred to the boat or the ark, right? And it is just a revenge or a kind of punishment for the sake of him who had been slighted. Means that when the people try to make fun of Noah, then the whole issue was a kind of answer to them. And God said, we left that ark as a sign. And then is there any who would take ammunition? Means that in the Quran, it mentioned that that boat will be preserved as a sign for people to come. And therefore, if it is really discovered, or part of it discovered, then it only confirms the postulation or the prophecies in the Quran. It is the truth. And many in the Christian world, they confirm that the part of the wood of the ark was discovered and so on and so forth. Although there are also counter argument about it. Maybe we wait and see. And if it's really confirmed, then they don't confirm about the postulation or the prophecies made in the Quran. So that is what I have prepared, and I open up for Q&A. I may not be able to answer your question, but just a kind of sharing and exchange of viewpoint and understanding. Start with you. Anyhow, please, young one time. Either English or Chinese, no problem. I think all of us understand Cantonese except one of our friend who just come late. Anyhow.
Is that, for example, the Noah's Ark and other inconsistencies in the Bible, is this one of the reasons that people cite when they say the whole Bible is, incorrect or something like that?
Different people have different view. Some of the people think that every letter is the revelation of God, right? Through man. But as you can see that there are many data which is quite inconsistent with this knowledge of today. But how can you justify it? And some of the scholars explain that maybe actually originally it was true. It wasn't. And because you can see that actually there's some description about this or discussion about this, is that, for example, in Genesis, actually today what you read is a combination of two versions. And this is why the combination is not, they just make two versions here, and then they select those which is true from this version, they take it out, and so on and so forth. Not like this. It is interwoven together. For example, you have version A and version B. You find version A, version B. Version A, version B, something like this. That is why you find in one places you say a pair of all kind of animals. And then another, they say that 7 pairs of clean animal and 1 pair of unclean animal, something like this. And then another version is another story. Therefore, it is not the original version. But of course, this is not the level of our understanding of research. Therefore, this is just for your information. But at least you find it's very clear. There's two stories you compare. The version from the Qur'an and from the Bible. Any comment? 小妹妹 you raised the last question. 得唔得？得咧，我睇你好精神，睇住我講喎，冇瞓覺喎你。Come on.
Very good presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. So, actually, if you compare the story of Adam, Noah, Ibrahim, you'll find a lot of inspiration from it. In the elementary course, we compared the story of Adam, which was also quite interesting. What is that? So, that is all for today. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Thank you.
What is that? 喺邊啊？你去邊啊？
你咪派先。
哦，OK。Thank you，拜拜，唔該晒，唔該晒。No，冇講過，冇啊，點解冇啊？冇講，係啊，係啦。做晒啦。OK， 我覺得呢個咧都仲咩啊？最搞笑就係佢 destroy 晒之後咧，佢又喺度嚟講話我應承你，我以後唔再咁好似我啲細路仔做錯嘢認錯，我唔知道點解會咁樣。
多謝晒。
OK，多謝晒 ，thank you，老闆，喂，公司啦。即係好似咧，佢 describe 佢歌同人好似咧。佢冇記得，我講到個古安仔。